Hey, all, today we're going to continue talking about lines in the coordinate plane, and we're going to talk about intercepts, but this time we're going to talk about lines in standard form. In the previous lesson, we talked about lines in slope-intercept form that looked like this, where the number in front of x was the slope and b came from our y-intercept. Today we're going to talk about standard form that is in this form, where x and y are on the same side of the equal sign. And we're going to talk about how we can use this form of a line to find the x and y intercepts. So the place where the line crosses the x-axis, the horizontal axis, and the place where the line crosses the y-axis or the vertical axis. And so these are examples of lines in standard form. From our previous lesson, our y-intercept always had an x value of 0, and then we had a number in the y spot, which we used as b to write the line in y equals mx plus b form. An x-intercept is always going to have a number for x and a 0 for y. And so if we want to use the standard form of the equation to find the x and the y intercepts, we can plug in 0 for y to find the x-intercept, and then we can plug in 0 for x to find the y-intercept. To do that more simply, I'm actually going to rewrite this equation. To find the x-intercept, I'm going to get rid of the y term. If I plug 0 in for y here, 0 times 7 is 0, and then this term goes away. So what I'm really solving here is this equation for x. I solve this equation for x by moving 2 over here. 2 is multiplying right here, so when I move it over, it's going to be dividing. And I'm dividing 56 by 2, and I'm getting 28. And so my x-intercept is 28, 0. So if we were to graph this line, it would cross the x-axis at positive 28. To find my y-intercept, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to cross out my x term, because if I plug 0 in for x, then I'm going to get 2 times 0, which is 0, and this thing is going to go away. And so now I'm solving this equation. 7 is multiplying y, so when I bring it over, we are going to be dividing by 7. And I get 8, and therefore my y-intercept is 0, 8. So quickly solving two equations by dividing. So here, when I'm finding my x-intercept, it's going to have a y value of 0. So we are getting rid of the y term so we can solve for x. I need to end up dividing by 6. 15 divided by 6. It's not going to give us a perfect integer, but we can put this into Desmos. 15 divided by 6, and then we can press the little fraction button, and it's going to tell us that value is 5 over 2. So our x-intercept is going to be at 5 over 2, which is 2.5. To get our y-intercept, it's going to have an x value of 0, so we're getting rid of the x term. We got to bring 5 over here to divide by it. 15 divided by 5 is 3, and therefore our y-intercept is 0, 3. We can find those intercepts as well if we have the graphs of lines. So let me show you what an x-intercept looks like if you couldn't already visualize it. The x-intercept is the place where our line crosses the x-axis, this horizontal axis. The place where our line here crosses this axis is right here. The x value in a coordinate is the first number. It's how far did we move from the origin to the right or left? Well, we moved 4 to the right. The second number is our y value. How much did we move up or down? We didn't move up or down at all. So that's why we always have 0 for our y value of the x-intercept. For our y-intercept, it's where does it cross the y-axis? It's always going to have an x value of 0 because we don't have to go left or right to get up here to this point. But we do have to go up 3, which means our y-intercept is 0, 3. Same idea over here. We have an x-intercept. We go left -1. And we go up or down 0. Our y-intercept is where we cross the y-axis. We don't have to go left or right. If we always start at the origin, we don't have to go left or right to get here. So that is 0, our first value. But we do have to go up 1. And there is our y-intercept. If you're struggling at all with getting coordinates, please make sure that you're asking me for extra clarification on how I got these values so that when you move forward on your own, you can practice with confidence. So far, we have taken the equation in standard form and we have found the intercepts. We have taken the graph and found the intercepts. Now we can use those intercepts to find out which line or which equation matches with our line. So a couple ways we can do this is find our intercepts, which we already did. There's our x-intercept of 4, 0. Here's our y-intercept of 0, 3. And so we could look at each of these equations and ask ourselves, if we crossed out the y portion, which one would we solve and get x equals 4? So if we were solving these for x, the one where we get x equals 4 is C, where we would divide both. We would divide by 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. -12 divided by 4 is -3. 12 divided by 5 is a fraction. 12 divided by 4 again is 3. So this is the one that would tell us x equals 4, which our x-intercept is 4. We also want to make sure that we get our y-intercept. To find our y-intercept, we cross out the x. So we want to know which one, when we solve, is going to give us y equals 3. 12 divided by 4 is 3. -12 divided by 5, that's a fraction. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 12 divided by 5, again, a fraction. So A and C work for the y-intercept. They give us a y value of 3, but C was the only one that gave us an x value of 4. So this is the equation of this line in standard form. The other way you could do it, of course, would be to graph all 4 of these and match it up with this line. But it's good to have multiple methods. Here again, our x-intercept is -1, 0. Our y-intercept is 0, 1. And so we want to find which equation matches that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross out the y values and find out which of these equations gives me x equals -1. Well, it looks like right here, that equation gives me x equals -1. If I get rid of -y, I have x equals -1. Let's see if that also gives me y equals +1, because my y-intercept is +1. So if I get rid of the x value, I have -1y equals -1. In order to get y, I need to divide this -1 by the -1 that's in front of y, and that gives me y equals 1. This equation has a y-intercept of +1 and an x-intercept of -1. Therefore, choice B is our line. Again, you could graph all 4 of these and see which one matched, but this is a strategy for using the intercepts to find out the equation of a line in standard form if maybe you don't want to use your calculator. The last thing we need to be able to do is very similar to when we were solving literal equations, and it's one of the reasons why we practice that, is we want to convert our standard form to our slope-intercept form. Basically, what that means is we need to solve this literal equation for y. And to convert from standard form to slope-intercept form is going to be the same method every time. It's going to take 2 steps, and then we are done. The first thing we are going to do is we're going to move that x term over to the other side of the equal sign. When we do that, we have to change what operation is happening. So this 2x is positive, it's being added. That means when we move it over, it's going to be subtracted. And we tend to write that x term at the beginning, so I'll give it a minus. 56 was positive to begin with, so it gets a plus. And then the second step is to take that value that's in front of y and divide everything by it. So 7 is multiplying y, and so to bring the 7 over, we have to divide both of these pieces by 7. Actually, I think that's the way I want to say it, because that's the way we've been saying it. So to move this 7 over, I have to divide both of these pieces by 7. That leaves me with y alone, which is what I want. -2 divided by 7, that's a nasty decimal, so we'll just leave it like that. That's the slope of our line. 56 divided by 7 is 8. So we have +8. That's our y-intercept. Again, converting from standard to slope-intercept, we take our x term and we move it over. We're going to change what it's doing. So instead of +6x, we have -6x. This 15 was positive, so it's still +15 because it didn't move sides. We want to take this 5 and move it over here. It's multiplying right now, which means it's going to be dividing both of these pieces. And so we end up with -6/5. There's our slope. 15 divided by 5 is +3. There's our y-intercept. We've converted it. 2 steps. Move the x term, then divide by the number in front of y for both terms on the right. Before you give these 2 a try, if you had any difficulty with either or any of those problems that I've already done, please ask me, then give these a try. Pause this video, try these 2 on your own. If you need some help working through it, please ask me, then press play to get the answers. So check your answers here, check your x and y-intercept and your slope-intercept form. Check here, you identified the x and y-intercept and chose the correct equation in standard form. If you got one or more of these things wrong and you don't understand why, now is the best time to raise your hand and ask me to come over and help explain it. If you've got your questions answered and you feel confident, please move forward and do the practice problems. As always, while you're working through those, if you're stuck, don't hesitate to ask for help. It's best to ask for help before you do too many incorrectly. Take your time on these and good luck.